Hey y'all, welcome back to the Serenity Strong podcast. I'm your host, Shelby Ann. As always with my podcast, it's never to tell you what to do or how to live your life. It is to give you suggestions through my perspective, experiences, outlook, and things I have been through in life. Biased towards fitness and nutrition, and also maybe talking about what is ever on my mind. Today is a podcast episode where I will be interviewing Nate Weber. He works at Back in Line Chiropractic, and I am very excited to have him on today as he is my first chiropractor that I am interviewing. So Nate, I'm going to turn the mic over to you so you can introduce yourself to the audience.
Awesome. Thanks, Shelby, for that introduction and for inviting me on. My name is Nate Weber. I'm a chiropractor in Hiawatha at Back in Line Family Chiropractic. A little bit about myself. So I'm originally from Cedar Rapids, basically grew up there, went through the Catholic school system there, and then off to UNI for undergrad. I was pre-med going through UNI. Always knew I wanted to do something in the medical field, but I was always kind of leaning towards dentistry, honestly, early on. And just kind of pivoted in undergrad for a couple different reasons. Try to keep it short, so I won't go into that too much, but just decided to pivot, and I was looking at other options and decided, hey, I had good luck with chiropractic through some high school weightlifting injuries. Not always being taught great form and like not staying tight, not getting good technique, just spurned a lot of back pain from max outs with football. And honestly, like chiropractors would just be able to get me right back on the field. I had a knee problem with soccer in high school too. And unfortunately, the physical therapist that I had gone to for that episode, I wasn't super impressed with. Nothing against the profession. I love physical therapy and like refer really well, but just got pushed into the direction of chiropractic. So after Northern Iowa, I would have gone down to St. Louis, to Logan College of Chiropractic. Honestly, when you choose between chiropractic schools, I chose on city, and St. Louis was better than Davenport for me. And they also had a great master's in human anatomy, and they did cadaver dissections. They had a great sports science and rehabilitation department, which is something that I want to get into. Personally, the way that I practice, it's very much like if I can figure out a sports injury, if I can figure out how an athlete gets better or got hurt and then how to rehab them, I can rehab the common office worker. And like, it's just really like, let's go to the most complex situation we can and let's dial everything back. If we can fix athletes, we can fix weekend warriors, we can fix our desk jockeys. So that's what really drew me down to chiropractic in St. Louis, the school there. It was honestly amazing. I got great internships through the Veterans Affairs Hospital in St. Louis. So working with other medical providers, psychologists, physical therapists, that was great one-on-one training in the hospital system and in St. Louis. And then I took another pivot. I moved from St. Louis to North Dakota for one cold year, and I taught at a college up there. It was a great experience. I still teach for the college, but I moved back here almost 10 years ago, May of 2011. And I joined the practice where I'm currently at, and it's been a great fit, honestly. Yeah, it allows us, so at our current office, we've got 4 different total docs, myself included. So we've got Dr. CJ Clean, who does a little bit of a blend of everything, but she's probably diving into more functional medicine now. So looking at lab tests, using supplements, nutrition, different things like that to find deeper causes. We've got Dr. Hannah Anderson, who is our pediatric and prenatal specialist. We call her the baby whisperer, and she's just phenomenal. Like the wealth of knowledge she has on pregnant mothers, young babies, just all of that birthing and postpartum process is just amazing. I mean, there's so many women that want to get back to working out but struggle with back pain or incontinence. You can't laugh and pee at the same time in the gym after having a baby. So like having these resources and these other doctors, providers to work with in our office is just phenomenal. Lastly, we've got Dr. Missy Wessels, who just joined us recently, and she's been another great fit. She's a go-getter, and she knows her stuff. She's working hard on a lot of the sports and rehabilitation stuff. So when I say that we practice chiropractic, we're a little bit of a mixed blend. We definitely do adjustments, but we do a lot of soft tissue work. We do a lot of acupuncture. We do a lot of trigger point dry needling. we combine a lot of therapies, and we give people exercise. We give people rehab. I'm not saying we're necessarily doing physical therapy and real rehabilitation. There's a time and a place, and I absolutely refer and respect our physical therapists in our community. But at the same time, if we can give people basic exercises, I need you doing this, this, and this so you can get back in the gym. It's just better patient care, and that's really what we're all about, is patient-centered care. Yeah. What are the questions you got for me? I feel like I rambled there.
That's okay. That was really good knowledge. And also too, to show people that at your office is not just, just chiropractic where you come in, you get adjusted, you get cracked, and then you leave and book your next appointment, right? You have other people around you that have specialized in something else, where it's like, prenatal or, babies, sports, rehab, different things like that. I mean, I actually went and saw Nate a couple weeks ago, and it wasn't just going in and telling him, hey, this hurts, and we got cracked my neck. He assessed me. He watched my walking gait. We did a lot of stretching, a lot of ART, and that is active release technique. So where you push your thumb into your muscle and stretch it through a range of motion. It's not just like a massage where you massage out the muscle. He did some dry needling. And then also he not only pre-checked, but he post-checked my movement to make sure that things were feeling good before I left. What would you say is kind of like the myth of the chiropractic world, right? Like with fitness, people think it's like you got to go hard, balls to the wall, and this and that. What would you say is like the biggest thing that you hear about chiropractic that you kind of want to work on, changing the mindset that people have towards a chiropractor?
The biggest myth that I guess I commonly see is once you start going, you have to keep going. And I guess my mentality towards that, we practice a little bit differently. We do more than just adjustments. So it's not just wham, bam, crack you like a glow stick, see you next week, 3 times a week for the next 3 months. I don't like that. And that's, again, because I'm an athlete, I hurt myself all the time. I'm always getting my other doctors to work on me, which is great because, again, I figure out what works well, what doesn't, what feels really good, what feels like shit. And I'm like, I'm never doing that on a patient because it didn't feel good to me. But if it helps, if it works. So anyways, back to your original question, that you've got to keep going forever. And in a point, like when you're in pain, when you get to a point where you've kind of blown through, we'll call them signals. So you've got green lights, yellow lights, and red lights. And red lights are things that, like, we know those are hard stops. And those are training days where it's like, I can't lift my arm over my head. I have spasms in my low back and can barely walk. We all recognize those are red light days. You cannot physically train, or you're just too physically exhausted. There's green light days where you hit PRs, where you are just on top of the world. Your nutrition, your sleep, your exercise, hydration, everything is dialed in, and you're crushing workouts. And then there's yellow light days where you're just kind of like, maybe I'm not feeling it. Didn't sleep well. Kids are acting up. My husband's annoying the hell out of me, or just whatever. Life gets in the way. And for whatever reason, you're just not at the peak of your game. And maybe you should recognize, or we should recognize, hey, this isn't a good day to go push 13 miles if I'm training for a half marathon, triathlon, whatever. Or, hey, I'm not going to shoot for that PR that I'm supposed to hit this week because I'm just not feeling it. My back is already sore. Go into these workouts and we kind of know our body isn't at 100%. And again, when you're an elite lifter, your body's almost always beat up. So I get a lot of people who have let things go for so long, and it's like, hey man, we've got to do some unwinding with you. We're gonna need a couple sessions. Like, you didn't get like this overnight. But at the same time, I usually tell our patients, I want you 40 to 70% better every single time you leave this office. If I'm not hitting those marks, maybe I'm missing something. Maybe we're taking the wrong approach. Maybe I need to send you to a different office, provider, doctor, imaging, something, because we're missing the boat. And very typically, we hit that 40 to 70% mark each visit. So we get people better very quickly in most situations. And then it's about managing your training, managing your workload, your lifestyle. And it might be some home corrective exercises like, hey, we can keep you feeling really, really good. We can get your pain down so you can get back in the gym or back out training on the pavement, whatever. But you've got to do some homework for me. If you're in necessarily cardio, triathletes, distance people, hate strength. And I will say that flat out. Like, I have so many runners, marathon runners, triathletes, whatever, and I ask them about their lower body problems or their strength training when they've got a knee problem, an ankle problem, a hip's bugging them, and they absolutely don't do any strength training. It's like, hey, I get it. This is what calms your stress, what calms you down, and like just is your elixir at the end of the day, keeps you sane. But if you don't do some of this stuff, you're not strong enough to keep running. You can't keep putting miles on your body. Same thing, I have the conversation with our big guys and girls, our power lifters, our strong people, our CrossFitters. It's a lot more like, hey, you got to respect your mobility. You can't just lift all of the weights but not respect your cardiovascular fitness. So again, the biggest misconception that I come across is you got to go forever. With anything, there's a wind down period. We got to get you feeling back to normal. And then it's like, hey man, I might see you every 1 to 3 months. That's about when I get injured. When I've got an injury, I need to see you a little bit more. My docs work on me 2 or 3 times a week when I'm broken, because I want to keep playing volleyball. I want to keep biking. Once I feel good, I might not get a regular treatment again until something breaks. So that's typically what I see.
I like that. I like how you had the green, yellow, red light, and having people like, don't wait until you're in the red light to go see a chiropractor. You don't have to be completely in pain. If you feel like your movement's kind of off, if you feel like you need some maintenance work on your body, it's something that should be done, especially if you are an athlete. Maybe you're not a professional athlete, but an athlete can be a person who does some type of fitness every day, and just reading or reiterating off of what Nate said, it's a well-balanced approach. It's not just lifting weights. It's not just cardio. And a lot of times we can get caught into that hamster wheel of shit that we like to do. This is my strength. I'm going to do this. Fuck working on my weaknesses. And then that's when, we have to take almost 10 steps forward to start working, towards our goal, versus knowing that there is a time for strength and there's a time for running, depending on, what kind of season or training that you're in. But we need the balance of them, because if we don't take care of our muscles and we run all the time, they're going to break down. So even though this person might look skinny, that doesn't mean that they're healthy, or they have really good cardiovascular, but their muscles are completely broken down, that, as they get older, maybe their posture is going to be not as well, or their joints are going to be broken down a little bit more because they decided to not take care of their body. What would you say to somebody who, I know we talked about kind of, the negative association to a chiropractor, but what would you say to somebody who maybe has never been to a chiropractor or has had a, bad experience with a chiropractor, right? Like some people are scared to go to a gym because maybe they got hurt or they just didn't have a good relationship with the coach. But somebody who, needs to go, but they keep putting it off. When is a good time for somebody to reach out to a chiropractor and say like, hey, something's not feeling right, I need to come in? And how do you help people, work on kind of building up that trust to come back to a chiropractor?
Loaded question. And this goes with any medical provider, any gym, anything. It's got to be a good fit. I personally, I have a little bit of a bias against any office anywhere in general that wants you to do large upfront payment plans. Again, I tell our patients, like, I can have someone jacked up getting ready to go into a competition, and I might need 3 to 6 visits. And I know, again, I'm not trying to knock anyone personally, professionally, whatever, but there's people that'll sign you up for thousands of dollars of treatment plans up front. It's just, again, like, hey, some people are unfortunately just a little bit shady, and we've got to watch out for that. And that's in any business, any profession. So don't necessarily sign up for long-term care plans right away unless you know that's something that you're interested in. If you're interested more in shop around, get good referrals. We've got lots of good people in town. Phenomenal that I refer back and forth with all day long. I have friends and colleagues in town that are chiropractors that, again, like, I am happy when I hear my friends are going to them. It's like, hey, I know he or she does an excellent job and you're in great hands. We practice differently. I do different stuff than they do. Some of them only do muscle work. Some of them only do adjustments. Some physical therapists don't want to do muscle work, and they'll refer to me for trigger point needling or soft tissue work. And they just want to do the rehab, and that's totally cool. find those people that fit well with you, or again, a personality. Half the year, I'm walking around with a giant beard. I'm not necessarily the personality for a newly pregnant mother and like her 2-year-old kid. That's going to be a way better personality fit with one of my partners, female partners, Baby Whisperer, Dr. Anderson. So again, like, I'm not maybe the right provider for certain people, certain emotional capacities, different things like that. Powerlifters, athletes, I'm going to get along real well with the average Joe, the average Jane, the weekend warriors. And it's, again, being able to relate to those goals. I'm still an athlete, so I get that stuff. But that would be my biggest, I think, criticism, if that's what we're talking, is make sure you're finding the right situation. And the same thing with the gyms. If the goals that gym has don't align with your goals, and that's what I see a lot in general fitness. And it's, again, just people think that they need to go hard. We watch professional athletes, again, professional athletes that get paid to do their sports. And they have coaches and trainers and nutritionists and chiropractors and physical therapists and all these people that are smarter than them that dictate how their training, how their nutrition, how their recovery, how their rehab goes. They don't train for hours and hours and hours. And they also don't do it after or before they've been sitting at a desk for 8 hours. Like, their job is training and recovery. And the rest of us think, oh, they push 2 a days, 3 a days. I can too. They might not have kids at home. They might not have a full-time job. They might not have stress. They might get all their sleep. They might get really, really good nutrition, and then probably get worked on by, like I said, massage therapist, chiropractor, physical therapist. Someone is giving them really, really good movement advice to keep them functioning at that level. And what I typically see is people burn out. Either they're jumping into a New Year's resolution, they jump into a new gym or fitness routine, and they go so hard. Our bodies aren't always meant to go hard. We need hard days. We need heavy days. I think it's great to start lifting heavy weights. People are terrified, especially almost everyone, 60% of the population's had a really, really bad low back pain episode. I've had a bunch of them. I have shooting pain that goes down my right leg, and that's actually why I pulled away from powerlifting a little bit. That was never that good. It's not a big deal. But anyways, it's fear avoidance behavior. When you have that pain and you've had it, and it's almost like this isn't going to go away. I'm terrified. I think I'm going to need surgery, whatever. Most of these things calm down on their own. And most of them, again, with a good coach, I got way better at lifting, and I've lifted more than I've ever lifted before. I have a pre-existing low back injury, and honestly, I could probably still lift really, really heavy. It's just at this point in my life, I like being fit and able to do 900 different things. I want to go run a race. I want to go ride a bike. I want to go play volleyball. I want to go water skiing, snowboarding, whatever. I want to be healthy enough to do all those things. I don't want to just niche specific into getting huge. I've been huge. It's not that fun. I'm much more capable of being healthy for the next 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years. What's the exercise that I can maintain? And even more importantly, like, what balances me? What brings my sanity to a better level with just exercise and nutrition when I eat well, when I get up at 6 in the morning and walk the dog for an hour and a half and then come home, eat a good meal, get a good workout in, and it doesn't need to crush my body, but like 30 to 90 minutes of self-care, and then you start your day. And you're just in a better mental place. And again, I think a lot of us especially this year, it's been a lot of stress. Between the Rona, around Cedar Rapids, we've had the derecho. People are stressed. And just in general, anxiety, depression, like, we know when we start getting into fitness, exercise routines, it's good for more than just physical endurance, looking good naked. The benefits really, I mean, they're just innumerable. So it's getting people not afraid of getting hurt, or getting to a point where it's like, hey, you're hurt and we can get you back in the field and you need to be active. That's, I think, probably the most important message.
What would you say is the most common, like, injury that you see, right? So, like, you work with, like, athletes, but you kind of work with a novice human, right? Like, you're kind of, like you said, weekend warriors, you're 9 to 5, people that sit a lot. What would you say is kind of like the most common injury that you see, and maybe why that might be, and some solutions to that? Not necessarily going to a chiropractor, but when people come in, what is a typical injury or injuries you see, and what maybe are some solutions for people to help them not be so injured all the time?
keys for not being injured, for the average person not being injured all the time: move, exercise. Like, your body's designed to move, and more and more and more we're getting sedentary. We're driving, we're sitting in our office, we're going home, we're sitting down, we're not active. Like, it was dark at 6 o'clock when I left work yesterday. I literally went to Fairway. There's no one anywhere. Like, again, upper Midwest in November, like, that's what we're going to have. But, like, move. Your body is designed to move. And when you don't, notice when you binge Netflix all weekend, on Monday, you're grumpy. You're kind of you're not the best version of you, and your body hurts more. I'm the same way. Like, I love football Sundays. I smoke meat, and I don't leave the house. I call it Solitude Sunday. I'm a hermit. It's amazing. I don't even talk to people sometimes, but I feel worse when I just lay on the couch all day long. So across the board, it's inactivity. We got to get moving more. And we need to, again, like, you don't need to deadlift the moon. You don't need to squat a house. You do need to get into basic movement patterns. You should be able to do push-ups, sets of 10, 20 without being super fatigued. You should be able to do body weight squats with good form, step back lunges, single leg deadlifts, double leg deadlifts, swings, all of these different basic movement patterns. And again, my workout's like 20 to 30 minutes max a day. And, like, again, I'm fit, I'm healthy, I feel like I look good naked. I don't really care, because, again, like, I feel really good with where I'm at physically, and I don't need to kill myself in the gym to do that. So I think, again, across the board, if I could say one thing, people, like, dial in just a little bit of movement, even if it's just getting outside, walk the dog, go for a walk yourself, just a 1 mile walk around the block, around the neighborhood, calms you down here, like, so good mentally. And, like, seriously, we're all head cases. We're all fucking nuts, and we need to calm this down a little bit, because we get in our own heads and we're terrible. Average injury, female, neck, shoulder pain, and headaches. A lot of different reasons for this. Breast tissue in the front's one. I think stress is a big thing. Like, I think females tend to be a little bit more stressed, anxious. Yeah, neck, upper traps, and headaches. And again, I think it's also, like, all of my shoulder and neck, upper back patients, scapular.
Oh, we lost you.
You still got me? I'm going through a little valley here. See if you pick me up at the top of the hill. This should be the only place where I lose service. Am I coming back or no?
Yeah.
Coming to the top of the hill.
Yep.
Coming
Okay.
back?
Yeah, we have you here. So we lost you at scapular strength.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I mean, any of our shoulder pain, if you've got shoulder pain, neck pain, or headaches, I'm dialing in 100% on scapular strength, on posterior chain, get into scapular stabilization. We're all push. We're push. It's look at me in the front, and we ignore the back muscles. And, like, I love TRX, I love bands, I love kettlebells. The more that I've been able to do with scapular strength, like, I don't think I had one shoulder problem through volleyball this year, which is awesome, because I always have shoulder problems. So again, females, neck pain, headaches, scapular strength, soft tissue work, trigger point needling, it works great to calm it down. But it's one of those things, hey, this comes back every 4 to 8 weeks. What do you do at work all day long? You sit at a desk, you sit at a computer, then you go home, you read on an iPad, you sleep with crappy posture, whatever. Typical guy, low back pain all day long. And guys, especially, like, after 35 or 40, we just really don't give any more shits. We like to sit around, watch football. We detest working out on the average dude. Even guys that I know, hang out with, still young, active athletes. We're not as active. I don't get it. I don't know why. But, like, we sit at work, we go home, we sit in our chair, and again, we just get deconditioned, and we get a lot of flexion intolerant low back pain. I get that all day long, all week. It pays the bills. Low back pain all day long. Beyond that, we get into injury specifics for different population subgroups. Triathletes, knee, hip, ankle stuff, and it's usually a lot of either not training the right ways, like they're not doing strength work, and that's across the board. My triathletes, my marathoners, people that like cardio don't like strength typically. And again, the elite ones have that dialed in. The people that are going to Kona every year, yeah, they still have hip problems, they have knee problems, but it's way less than the average person who's like, I'm going to get out and start pounding out marathons. And they just think that they don't need self-care. Like, they don't do massage, they don't do home foam rolling, they don't do home stretching. They just think they pound out miles. And I'm sorry, that's not the way that you train smartly. Like, you should be doing some strength. Power lifters, gymnasts, stuff like that. It's going to be, again, shoulders, injury specific, depending on what they're dealing with. And a lot of times just, and again, like random injuries in some populations. We get a lot of work comp cases in. That's actually where I'm coming from. I do some work up in Manchester, and depending on the industry, I mean, some people do the same repetitive task all day long, and it's little problems in forearms, wrists, hands. But those are probably the two main ones that we see: neck pain and headaches, flexion intolerant low back.
Would you say for women, because, that's something that I see too, we lack upper body strength. And so I was kind of nodding my head for people that are listening and not seeing the video recording that we have. I was like touching my trap muscles, because I feel like a lot of us keep our tension in our traps, right at our neck, and we're kind of rounded forward, and especially if you have really big boobs, that's a lot of weight forward that we forget, scapular strength. And then we go to a doctor and they're like, oh, you have headaches. Let's inject you with something. Let's, give you these medications, and not asking you questions. And, I am not a doctor, and I am working on getting more street cred as I go along. I want to get my registered dietitian. I want to get more things under my belt so I can keep learning to have more ammunition. But no matter what, no matter who you go to, if they don't ask you questions more often than tell you what to do, you need to walk the other direction. Because if they're not asking you questions on the regular, they're not understanding you. And they're just trying to get you to take medication, to write that prescription to help them out, versus, I should say, putting a Band-Aid over it than actually solving the damn problem, And so for headaches, it could be the scapular, it could be dehydration, it could be stress, so trying to exhaust all those avenues.
I want to drop something in real quick, because when you were talking about that, what do you do with breathing with clients? Chest breathing versus diaphragmatic breathing. So that's something, and like when you were talking about this neck and shoulder pain, constant chronic tension, and that's something that I just didn't address when we were talking about it. But so many of us, one, we're watching society and it tells us to be skinny. So like subconsciously, a lot of us are walking around sucked in or braced or not engaging diaphragm. When we're not engaging diaphragm, breathing muscles, core stabilizers, one, we're losing low back stability. Two, we're using neck and chest, and this is more common in females, but we use neck and shoulder muscles overusing to breathe and elevate the chest. And then again, that just, it's a cascade. And like, I could adjust you every week for the rest of your life if we don't address some of these movement or breathing problems, which are, again, like, it seems so silly. But yeah, your breathing can be a cause of your low back pain or your inability to brace and get a good lift because you're not pressurizing the right container. I didn't mean to jump in. That was just a little nerd fact that
was an absolutely great jump in. And that's a lot of times, what I talk with my athletes, on the floor, because they just want to do it RX. They want to get that best time. And I'm like, listen, I'm not telling you that you can't RX the workout today, but we need to make sure that when we're trying to go as fast as we can, that not only do we have good technique, but we're breathing efficiently and we don't lose our core strength. Because a lot of times I see a lot of lower back pain, and then I see people walking around with their lower belly kind of bulged out, because when they brace and breathe, they push their stomach out, so their muscles get trained to be there versus sucking it in. And when you can suck that whole core in, it's going to brace your back better so that your back is not in pain constantly, or your rectors are fired all the time. And do you know how I found that out? Because I found out the hard way. My glutes were inefficient. I overused my back muscles, and I completely screwed my back up to where it took me 2 months just to be able to truly lift again. And that's why I had Nate on here, and why we do what we do is because we want to help people get out of pain. We want to help people understand their bodies more. We want to help you undo things that you've been doing, and it sounds silly, but breathing is huge. And if you're breathing wrong and using muscles incorrectly, and you overuse them and put so much tension into them, plus lack of sleep, stress, dehydrated, it's, you know, it's not common sense to people, but it's common sense to us that those muscles are going to be pissed off, and then they're not going to want to relax because they're just so tight all the time, versus working on getting them to relax or looking how to engage your muscles. You know, there's a thing that glute amnesia is huge, especially for people that sit. Nobody knows how to use their glutes correctly. And then, like you said, they sit all day, they sit in a car, then they come into the gym and they're like, I'm going to fucking go balls to the wall. And I want to be like, why? You know, everyone says I'm their favorite, like I'm a really good coach. And at the same time, I'm like people's worst nightmare, because I call it like I see it. And I do that in the nicest way possible, because it's not my first rodeo. You know, I've watched many human bodies move in front of me. You know, I've been in different gyms, and it's the same thing. You know, people come in, they move incorrectly, they're in pain constantly, they push themselves too much. Like you said earlier in the podcast, you know, they try to go balls to the wall all the time, and then they're completely dumbfounded. They're like, why am I in pain? Why does my sleep suck? You know, in complaining a lot versus really trying to fix a problem. And it's never an overnight thing, you know, and it sucks, because if you want to really work on the problem, there's a lot of things that we have to address. And maybe we do have to take a couple steps forward, but just like anything, you know, when you pull the bow back, the arrow shoots very far forward. You know, the window in a car is bigger than the review mirror. Like the things that maybe we have to take a couple steps back, the forward progress that we can get from that is, you know, almost, you can't really put a price on it. So what would you say, you know, to the people that are listening, to kind of like not wrap things up, but to kind of give a synopsis of, you know, a holistic approach to this, right? What are some pillars of health and wellness, and, you know, just for the human body, that you would like to tell people?
Personally, I think, I mean, like, it starts with, you just got to find a routine. You got to find something that you can stick to and like that you can commit to. If you're doing nothing right now, you need to start with like just something small, and like, don't add everything in. Don't wait till fucking New Year's. That's dumb. Just add something in. And again, you got to figure out what your biggest bang for your buck thing is. My personal thing is like a morning routine. So like, get up a little bit early. And whether you got kids, like I have no kids, I'm not married, I'm not, anyways, I have a very lax schedule. So like I have the ability to do these things, and I recognize that a lot of people can't, or they've got more stressors. But you got to hold yourself accountable a little bit and like dial in your routine. Okay, I'm going to get up a little bit early so I can go for a walk around the block, and I'm just going to get some vitamin D, get out in the sunlight right away, first thing in the morning, get away from technology, get away from your phone, social media, all that bullshit, because that's not helping you with stress, anxiety, any of that stuff. We check it way too much already. Get away from those things. Get out in nature, even if it's just a walk around the block, or do it in the middle of the day. You've got to set a routine. You've got to set, hey, I'm going to do this every single time. Habit stacking. So when you make your coffee or your breakfast in the morning, you're going to do 10 squats, or you're going to do 1 squat, and you're going to do that every single day. And if you do 1 squat every single day, and then on certain days you can do more, you can do 10, cool. But if you do at least 1 every single day, you're holding yourself accountable. And it's that value system that we have inside. So it's, again, it's habit stacking. As you start doing your 1 mile walk and you start feeling better mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, cool. Then you want to start eating better. Then you want to start doing more for workouts. And it's, again, like, guys, guys, girls, y'all, my workouts are not complex. From what I used to do, like, it's so super simple. Body weight, lots of stuff. TRX, kettlebells, very simple gym equipment in my home. I don't even leave my house anymore because I'm a social hermit. No, I talk to people all day long. I tell jokes. I like to be alone when I work out and spend that time just focusing on getting my mental energy right. And that's what I think a lot of us need to do. Don't get overwhelmed with everything. You can go keto, you can go low carb, you can go all these different diet plans. Guess what? At the end of the day, every single one of them works as long as you stick to something. So we go so far overboard into overcomplicating the system. I can't eat that. I can't do this. I'm not having any fun. Then we break down. Or again, we get so into workout that we crush ourselves for an 8-10 week boot camp. And at the end of it, our knees, our joints are so shot from all the jumping, all the whatever, that we don't want to keep doing it. It's, again, just start with moderation, start small. But again, I think it starts, for most people, it would be great to do more of a morning routine. Get up, meditate 5-10 minutes. There's apps you can get on your phone, but like start mentally unfucking this, and like things just open up for you. You're not as depressed, anxious. You want to go to the gym. You're more likely to see value in yourself, which helps you find value in the world. And it's, again, it's all these little things. We keep looking for the magic pill. I take a couple supplements, and that's actually after doing like a lot of blood work. Like I've done specific blood work where I'm like, hey, I'm really good here. And like, as good as my nutrition is, I'm not very good on these panels. I need supplements for these. But so many people just blindly shoot in the dark. They're taking a whole bunch of crap that they don't need because some expert told them that they need it. And most of the over-the-counter stuff isn't even that good in terms of quality and efficacy. So like figuring out what you actually need. But like supplements, everyone talks about a magic bullets, magic pills. They supplement your diet pyramid. 90% of it, if it's not rock solid, your supplements, you have expensive urine. Congratulations. Good for you.
Mm-hmm.
Like it doesn't do anything. So it's, again, it's getting the right professionals, and you're going to get charlatans in any field. I know dentists, podiatrists, all these different fields where like my colleagues are like, oh, don't go there. We've got good people and bad people in every field, strength and conditioning, accounting, whatever. You got to use your judgment and find recommendations, referrals. We're just like, again, your gut instincts. This person works well for me, or hey, I don't like how this person practices, or I don't, just don't feel comfortable here. But dialing in those things, and again, just dialing down to the cores, nutrition, sleep, mental state, and exercise, like those pillars are really the big ones for me. And they're all like, they're hand in hand to me. Like they're all like, it's just one continuous ring and circle. Once you start messing with any of those, kind of the rings fall down. Everything kind of cascades apart.
Right. The pillars, I have 5 pillars of, like health and wellness, and it's nutrition. And this is in no order. It's nutrition, sleep, fitness, hydration, and stress. When you can manage those 5 pillars in your life, we need to stop comparing ourselves to anybody else but our fucking self. Because if you look around, nobody is living the life the best way possible. They're living life the best way for them, right? There are many options in life. I did a podcast said life is like a buffet. There's many things that we can take in, and what works best for you, right? Getting up maybe even 5 minutes earlier, having that morning routine. Maybe you don't work out at night, but maybe you get up and go for a walk. We really underwrite walking. Walking is so awesome. Just kind of taking a break, and it's not fitness. And, for some people it might be fitness, but, it's just getting out and moving your body. Like Nate said earlier, movement is so important. Our bodies were meant to move. If you're lifting any type of external weight, you need to brace. If you are stretching and yoga and movement, you can have bend and flexibility in your body, right? We need all of that. We need to understand how important nutrition is. And I will have to say this until I'm blue in the face, until I die. I want everybody to take nutrition seriously, and I know people won't. But 20 years from now, you're going to be shooting yourself in the foot because of medications that you have to take, or relying on the healthcare system because you just did not want to care more than eating the foods that gave you enjoyment, right? And at times when you start something, it's never going to be easy. We talked about not having a magic pill, but the magic pill could probably be consistency and hard work. Those are some magic pills. It's not anything that you can take. It's just being consistent with something. Don't hop around all over the place. And if you did something for 1 year and you didn't get the results that you wanted, you still have a lot of data and feedback to now take into the next year, right? This didn't work, so now I'm going to try this avenue. This actually, helped me here and there. But we just are so quick. If we don't get that instant gratification, we're hopping to the next thing. And, a little bit is our fault, but it's also society. I just am so sad where we are at. And I get so frustrated because we're so quick to anger. we're so quick to jump ship. You know, we're so quick to point fingers. And if you point fingers, there are 3 of them pointing back. You know, it starts with us. When we wake up every day, it's our choice. I deliver pizza for Need. And I was just talking to this guy and I'm like, hey, how's your day? And he's like, you know what? When you wake up, you got a choice. Either make the day shitty or make the day great. And I always choose make the day great. And I'm like, that's the best tip. Like, thank you. You know, thank you for that. And I feel like too, we forget that there's more good out there than the bad, right? And like Nate said, no matter what, in any industry, you got your snakes, you got your people that want money and power over truly helping people, you know? And like Nate said, he said, if I can't help somebody, there's different people that I can refer you to. Like, I know what I'm talking about and I know that I can help you. But if we feel like it's not a good fit, don't just give up. There is always a solution. There is always a way, and never say never, because you never know when you might need something. So do your best. Maybe it's today, maybe it's tomorrow. You know, like Nate said, it's not a New Year's resolution. It's not just getting through the holidays. It's, you know, when are you going to take ownership in your life? You know, and when are you going to seize that moment to really like start living? Don't just exist. Don't just float through life. Don't just hibernate and then we die. Like, live how you want to and experience life to its fucking fullest. Nate, we are coming to the end of our podcast. It has been so great chatting with you. We have gotten coffee a couple times as well, you know, just to kind of bullshit back and forth on life and how things are going. And as always, we talk about nutrition and fitness, but what are 3 things that you want to leave with the listeners? 3 takeaways, no matter what it is, but just 3 things that you want to leave with the listeners.
One, I loved what you just said about the delivery and talking to the guy about mindset. And it's, again, just wake up every day. Like, we're all super stressed. We have problems with depression, anxiety, like they're running rampant. Everyone has major concerns. And like, we really all need to just like dial it back and like realize we're going to be okay, or reach out to someone, talk to a friend, figure things out. But like, again, realize that you have a choice. And like, this is coming from personal experience. I watched people in my family and I adopted those habits of just being miserable until I finally got to a certain point where I drove people out of my life because I was miserable shit. And like, waking up in the morning and realizing like, hey, my life's pretty fucking cool. And like, every day I get to choose to be happy and make the best of it, or be sad and be miserable and be a miserable shit to people around me. So like, one is just choosing happiness and like getting to a point where you're comfortable with yourself and the world that you live in to find happiness in it. And again, I think that goes hand in hand with, for me, it was a transformation of, I had to get more healthy mentally. And again, for me, that was movement. So again, the second pillar, I guess, for me would be find a practice, whether it's meditation or exercise, movement, some kind of fitness, but you've got to do something to like calm that mind down, and also do long-term good for your body. And it's, again, we just know there's so many good benefits for doing some kind of movement intervention, some kind of breathing and meditation, reflective practice. So dialing that all in. The final piece, yeah, I'm going to probably go a little bit cheap and go nutrition. Cause again, that's just kind of one of those things, like, when you eat crappy, we know for a fact, like, there's been studies on, I don't remember, high school or college, but they'll feed them really, really good food, watch their performance in academia, and then also on the sports and fitness or the fields. And again, like, think about what we're feeding our kids at weekend tournaments and all this stuff. And again, not a parent, don't judge me, don't crucify me. I know we're buying hot dogs and this stuff, but like, that decreases athletic performance. You don't perform as well. You don't perform as well on exams. And that's what's in our school lunches. And that's what we put on our bodies. So like, hey, we go crush it at CrossFit, powerlifting, whatever, the boot camps. And then we go out and we have this nasty ass meal and just different stuff like that. And it's, again, like, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Like, go out, enjoy. Like, I'm going to eat burgers. I'm going to eat good stuff when I'm traveling, when I'm out with friends. Don't be that weirdo that's like, I don't eat that. No one likes that person. But like, again, like, dial in your stuff 90% of the time so you can go out and live life and enjoy. And again, just recognize that, like, everyone's trying to do their best. Like, no one's out there like intentionally trying to be shitty or malicious or like slight you and spite you and lead you on. Like, maybe there's a couple people like that, but like 90% of people are going through their own shit. And whether you know it or not, like, they're probably not trying to slight you. So give people the benefit of the doubt. Stop being an asshole to everyone. Stop yelling at people for not wearing a mask, or I don't know, whatever the other bullshit that people are yelling about right now. Like, take it easy, take a couple breaths, just work on you for a little bit. Figure out, stay in your lane.
Absolutely. Mindset, movement, and nutrition. Thank you again, Nate. It has been a pleasure chatting with you. Thank you to all my listeners. If this is your first time listening to a podcast because you found my podcast through Nate, thank you so much for spending your time listening to us talk. I hope that it was valuable and you have some takeaways, because, you know, you get to spend your time however you want, and you spent some of your precious time listening to us. And if you are a returning listener and been listening to me for a while, cannot express and say thank you to your loyalty for listening to my podcast. Without you, I would not have any listeners. And it is just so awesome to see how many people listen to my podcast and watch my little podcast family grow. So thank you all. Your time is very valuable. We appreciate you spending it with us. And as always, just do you.